Hey there, class. Mr. Fusky here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We are continuing with Chapter 10, which is all about factoring, and we haven't actually touched on factoring yet. But today we're going to be talking about something called diamond factoring, which these are not really diamonds, but basically the way it's supposed to work, it's supposed to go like this. That was really bad. Let me draw that a little better. Try my best at least to. The problems usually look like this, and they made kind of a diamond. But in this case, these are just kind of like X's, okay? So these are going to be really important for identifying factors and being able to factor nicely. So what factoring is basically going to be undoing distributions. Remember when we were doing FOIL, we had like 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 4, right? And we would do this times this times that, this times that, this times that, right? When you get your final answer, we're going from, so this would be, let me just do this real quick, this would be 6x squared. What would that be? Minus 5x minus 4. Okay, so that would be the final answer. Now we're taking this and we're trying to go back to the original what we had before. So distribution is multiplication. Factoring is kind of like division, but it's a little bit more finicky or challenging than that. Okay, so it's not always going to be super easy, but this diamond factoring sheet will make things a lot easier for you. Okay. So let's talk about how these are going to work, okay? So we have 10 times negative 12. So basically, it's gonna we're gonna multiply to the top here. So we're gonna multiply to the top box, and we're gonna add to the bottom box. So what's 10 times negative 12? Well, that's negative 120, right? And then what's 10 plus negative 12? Well, that's negative 2. And then there's your diamond problem, okay? So this is kind of a basic version of the diamond factor. We're going to get to the harder ones later. Why don't you go from numbers 2 all the way through number 8. See if you can do these ones on your own. See if you can just get in the habit of multiplying the two numbers on the side to the top and then add to the bottom and see how you do, okay? We'll check our answers in a second. All right, welcome back. So number 2, 11 times 6, negative 11 times 6 is negative 66, and then negative 11 plus 6 is negative 5. All right, 3 times 4 is 12 for this number 3, and then 3 plus 4 is 7. It gets pretty easy to start with. It's going to get more challenging in a little bit here, but if you're doing well so far, excellent job. What's 9 times 8? That's going to go on top. That's 72. And what's 9 plus 8? That's 17. All right, then we have number 5. We have negative 6 times 6 is negative 36. It's kind of hard to read there, but it'll work. And what's negative 6 plus 6? That's going to be 0. How about 4 times negative 11? That's negative 44. And 4 plus negative 11? Negative 7. And then we have 8 times 11 is going to be 88. And 8 plus 11 is going to be 19. And then the last one we're going to do is number 8. What's 1 times 8? Well, that's going to be 8. And what's 1 plus 8? Well, that's going to be 9. All right, let's make it a little bit more challenging now. Let's make it just a little bit more challenging. Let's start with number 9 here. So for this one, now we don't know the side numbers. We actually know what it adds to, and we know one of the side numbers, okay? So it's asking what number, we can put in X here if we want, what number... in this case, the 2's on the bottom. What number plus negative 5 equals 2? And then we got to figure out what number multiplies to the top number up here. We got to figure out that as well. So let's think this through a little bit. Okay. So another way you could do this is you could do, since it's going to add to 2 in the bottom, we could do plus negative 2 equals 5. So what number plus negative 2 equals 5? Well, that's going to be 7. And then when we have both numbers for our side numbers, now we can just multiply to the top. So we have 7 times negative 5, which is going to be negative 35. Okay? Let's do one more together because these are a little bit tricky. And let's do number 10 together. So we have 72 on the top, and we have 6 on the bottom. So what this is saying, it's saying what number, so it multiplies the top, it's saying 6 times x equals 72. So it's saying what number times 6 equals 72. We can divide by 6 if we would like. Over here we could have, so we could do an x minus 2 equals 5. We could have added 2 to both sides. And that would have been a way to solve it. So that's another way you could have done this here. But yeah, so 72 divided by 6 is going to be 12. And now that we have our two side numbers, we can do 12 plus 6, which is going to be 18. these are kind of fun problems. They're kind of like puzzles, and factoring is just kind of like finding, puzzles and stuff. So why don't you go ahead and see if you can do, so we did 9 and 10, try 11 through number 14. See if you can figure out the rest of those problems, and we'll go through them in a second. All right, welcome back. So we're asking for number 11, what number plus 6 equals 15? So x plus 6 equals 15. All right, if we solve that, subtracting 6, x equals 9. So we have 9 is going to be our side number, and then we can do 9 times 6 on top, which is going to be 54. All right, number 12. In this case, we have 12 times something equals negative 36. We have 12x equals negative 36. Divide by 12. This is the way you can solve it. If you just know how to guess the number, that's totally fine, but solving makes it a lot easier too. So that's going to be negative 3. So this is going to be negative 3. So negative 3 times 12 is negative 36. What's negative 3 plus 12? That's going to go on the bottom. That's going to be 9. All right. Number 13, we have 7 times something equals 42. So 7 times something equals 42. Divide by 7, or we can just guess what it is. X is going to be equal to 6. This is going to be equal to 6. So in this case, what is 7 times 6 is 42. What's 7 plus 6? That's going to be 13. All right, number 14, negative 8 times something equals negative 64. Divide by negative 8. Or just guess. If you can guess what the number is, it's going to be positive 8. So we got negative 8 times 8 is positive negative 64, and negative 8 plus 8 is going to be 0. Okay, now we're down to the most important ones. These last ones are the most challenging, but they're also the most important because they are kind of what diamond factoring problems are what we're going to use them for to be able to factor, okay? So now we know the top number, we know they multiply to the top and they add to the bottom, but we don't know what the side numbers are here, okay? So we're going to actually do a couple together, and then we'll try a couple on our own, okay? So let's do number 15. We have so the two numbers multiply to negative 12, and they add to 11. So we need factors of negative 12. If you want to write these out, this will kind of help you with the process. So I know 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 4 is 12. So those are the factors, the things that multiply to 12. Can we get 11 from either of these numbers by adding or subtracting them? The answer is yes. Hopefully you can see that 1 and 12 are going to give us 11, but what number needs to be negative or positive to give us 11? Well, we need negative 1 and positive 12. That's going to multiply to negative 12 and add to positive 11. And there we go. Okay, so here's another trick. Let's do number, which one? Let's see here. Let's do number 27 together here, okay? I want to talk about something that's kind of important here. We need factors of 72. So I may not know all the factors of 72. I know 1 and 72. I know 2 and 36 probably. I know 8 and 9. Can I get 1 from any of these numbers here? Well, these numbers are kind of far apart up here. Do you see how 2 and 36 and 172? Those are going to be, those are the factors. This number down here is going to be huge. It's going to be like, a really big number. If the number on the bottom is going to be really small, it means those numbers are pretty close together. So what numbers, can we get 8 and 9? Can we get 1 from 8 and 9? Let's put 8 and 9 here. Which number should be negative to end up with negative 72 when you multiply and add to positive 1? Well, you're going to get negative 8, right? Does that make sense? So that's kind of a little trick, is that if the number on the bottom is 1 or negative 1, that means they're really close together. Otherwise, you're going to just kind of have to guess and check the factors and see what kind of works out. And yeah, that's kind of how this works, okay? So you want numbers that multiply to the top and add to the bottom. We just need to find factors, things that multiply to the top, and then you're going to kind of guess and check and see what you can figure out. So let's do, well, see how you do. See if you can try, let's do number, yeah, why don't you give these a try? See how you do? We'll go through them in a second, and you can check your work. All right, number 16. So we have, it multiplies to 18 and adds to 11. So I know 1 times 18. Let me put times, actually. 1 times 18. I know 2 times 9. I know 3 times 6. Those are the factors of 18. How can I get 11 from these numbers? Well, hopefully you see that 2 plus 9 equals 11, and there's going to be our factors. All right, number 17. We need factors of negative 50. So I got 1 times 50. I got 2 times 25. I got 5 times 10. I think those are most of the factors of 50. How can I get 5 from those numbers? Well, I can get 5 from 5 and 10. Which number needs to be negative to multiply to negative 50 and add to positive 5? Well, this is another thing I wanted to mention to you is that whatever the sign is down here, the bigger number needs to be also the same sign. It needs to overpower it, right? If this was negative 10, this would be negative 5. So whatever the bigger number is on the side numbers, that's going to be the number of the bottom number, right? Because the bigger number is going to overpower negative 5 plus 10. 10 is bigger, so it's going to overpower it and make it more positive, right? So that's another thing I wanted to mention too is that yeah, when you're adding to your bottom, the bottom's going to match the bigger number on the side numbers. Okay? Here's number 18. We need numbers of factors of 22. 1 times 22. 2 times 11. How can I get 9 from these numbers? Well, 2 and 11. And which number should be negative here? Well, it looks like 9 is positive, so the smaller number is 2, so it should be negative 2 to make it overpower it and make it more positive. Good, good. All right, this one's kind of a hard one, number 19. Negative 132. So on my I would just start dividing on my calculator and figure out the factors that work. And I just kind of like divided by 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 until when I divided, it came out to 2 numbers that are pretty close together. And the numbers that work are 12 and 11. You can see these are really close together. And then which number should be negative? Well, we have 12 12 or 11 should be negative. Well, the bottom number should match the bigger number, which is going to be negative 12. So we're going to get negative 12 times 11 is going to equal negative 132. If you got that one, way to go. That was kind of a tricky one. All right, factors of 30 that multiply to 30 and add to 11. We got 1 times 30. You don't need to list out the factor. If you're getting in the habit of just like guessing and checking, you don't need to list out the factors every time. This is just to kind of help people who may struggle with the factors. But if you're good at it, that's not a problem. So 5 and 6 are going to multiply to 30 and add to 11. All right, then we need factors of 96. So the factors that should work for this are negative 12 and 8. Okay, again, I just kind of used my calculator until I got numbers that added to negative 4. All right, negative 70. I have 10 and 7 are the factors that multiply to this, but I need negative 7 to make it 10 needs to match the bottom number. It's more positive, so it's going to be the bigger number is more positive. Number 13 is also kind of a tricky one. That was negative 11 and 10. I just divided on my calculator until I got numbers that work, that were really small difference between them. Number 24, I got 1 times 16. I got 2 times 8. I got 4 times 4. They need to they need to add to 6. I can see that 2 and 8, I can get 6 out of that. The bottom is positive and the top is negative, so it needs to be negative 2. The 8 needs to be more positive. All right, a couple more. Factors of 70 again. I got 10 and 7 again. In this case, they're both going to be positive. And then 26, I got negative 55 and negative 6. So I know that 1 times 55. I know 5 times 11. I think those are most of the factors. So in this case, 5 and 11. And it ends up being more negative, so the bigger number needs to be negative, which is going to be negative 11 and positive 5. And the last one for today, we have negative 70 and negative 3. That's going to be 10 and 7 again, but in this case, it needs to be negative 10. Let me zoom out so you can see everything. Hopefully you can see that okay. Actually, I'm going to scroll down here so you can see the answer key a little bit better, okay? All right, so that is how we do diamond factoring. That's going to be very useful for factoring. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Kind of treat them like puzzles and just get in the habit of knowing your factors and guessing and checking, and you'll be in good shape for factoring, okay? Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will talk soon.